One of the committees you sit on, the Agriculture and Natural Resources Committee, recently had a public hearing on several wolf bills. How did that go?
It went really well. Actually, I've got to tell you, between wolves and fires, it was kind of like the 7th District Day in committee, which we really appreciate the chair, working on those issues. They're not easy issues, but the wolf issues in particular are really hard. It's emotional on both sides. We had great testimony from folks back home, great questions. I mean, even the environmental community was a little bit more subdued, but that doesn't mean that positions have changed. They're still very much opposed to any kind of management that would give us more tools in managing, wolf populations in northeastern Washington. And we're going to continue to push the effort. That's not acceptable to us. We can't go home and just say, oh, well, we're going to work on these things, or we'll work on fish and wildlife. No, we need additional tools. It's chaos in northeastern Washington when it comes to wolf management. A lot of impacts out there, a lot of really bad impacts, and people just not knowing how next spring's going to go, or this spring actually. So we're working on it to see if we can get some agreement on some things that would help move that direction, but clearly doing nothing is not an option. So great hearings, good testimony. It's going to be our most important issue this session.
Governor Inslee is threatening to bypass the legislature and implement low carbon fuel standards. What is this? What does it mean? And what's happening with it in Olympia?
So folks back home don't know, Department of Ecology, under the governor's direction, just released a proposal to ask people what they think. And for those interested in participating, going to public meetings and providing comments, it's on Department of Ecology's website, actually on their front page. I would encourage folks to do that. But really what the proposal do, I read it just a couple days ago, it's really like a mini cap and trade. So we've got the governor's bill on cap and trade, which also impacts fuels, and then you've got it again on low carbon fuel standard. It's actually even more aggressive than California, which I find surprising. So I think we stand to see significant increases in prices in gasoline. Affects families, affects businesses, affects truckers. I mean, who doesn't it affect? And so I actually had legislation I introduced this session which said that should go through the legislative process and not through rule. I also have a fund amendment on our cap and trade discussions today. We're going to exec the governors, or, well, anyway, it'll get voted out of committee. But my amendment would exempt refineries from cap and trade if we enact a low carbon fuel standard. So it's a discussion piece, but really at the end of the day, people are hugely impacted by rising gas prices, and it doesn't fix bridges, build roads, increase infrastructure, or deal with any kind of congestion relief. Does none of that. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens.